Hello, Professor Kentley here. Welcome back to my advanced writing class. In this video, I'm going to look at citation systems in different fields, and I'm going to provide an overview. And even if I am talking about a system that you're not going to use, it's helpful to kind of compare and contrast these different systems to have a better understanding of different academic fields, including your own. So this is section 4 of the chapter in my book on using sources. It's called Citation Systems in Different Fields. What I have here is a hypothetical research paper that's citing some sources, and the paragraphs and sources are rendered in several different kinds of formats, different citation systems that are used in different fields to highlight the differences. The first example is a hypothetical article written using the APA system. APA stands for American Psychological Association, and this is a system for citing sources within the text and then the end references that is popular in psychology and also many areas of sociology, education, and applied linguistics and other areas of linguistics, and even in business and various social sciences and business and such. It is a nice default system if you don't know what system to use, and it's quite similar to the Harvard style, which you might have come across or might have learned before. So if you look at the text, in this example, I've chosen to kind of background that is put all the citations all in parentheses. You could also mention author's name in the sentence. Kinch's 1998 book says such and such, but here I've just put them all in parentheses just because it's easier. So let's take a look. It's possible, of course, to cite multiple papers in one citation, like you see here in lines 3 and 4. And notice this Gernsbacher, comma, 1990. So the comma, that's kind of one sign that this is APA style. There's a comma before the year. So author, last name, and year. And these are going to, if you have several sources cited in one parenthetical citation like this, they're going to be in alphabetical order according to the first author. So we start with Gernsbacher, 1990, semicolon. The next source, Kinch, comma, 1998, semicolon, McNamara, Kinch, Songer, and Kinch, 1996. There are two people named Kinch, by the way, here. Now, in a lot of times, especially in older versions of the APA, and in other systems, if you have 3 or more authors, you can just put the first author's name and comma and then et al. So McNamara et al. Et al. Is a Latin abbreviation for et alia. It's kind of like etc. I mean, etc. means and more of the similar kind, and et alia means and others, other different ones. That is different authors. So et al. Is like etc. It's for author names. Now, if you want to use et al., that's fine. I think nowadays they would use et al. In the newer versions of APA for, I think, more than 5 authors or something. In my class, if you want to use it for 3 or more, that's fine. So if you have just 2 authors, like you can have McNamara and Kinch, 1996. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've listed all 4 authors. Now, the reason why in especially psychology papers in the newer APA, it's like more than 5 authors, you use et al. And that's because, well, let's see, you might have McNamara, Kinch, Songer, and Kinch who published one paper in one year, and in that very same year, McNamara and Songer do another paper with Traxler and Smith and Jones, and you have similar author names on 2 or 3 papers, even in the same year. To avoid that confusion, you write out like all the author names in the APA, or at least the 5 author names or so. You can just do McNamara et al. If you're writing a paper in my class, and that's fine. It's a lot. Like the next one, Degand, Lefebvre, and Bestkin, 1999. That's the newer APA style, but you could just do Degand et al. And if you were using a citation system other than APA, you would put dig and et al. In other systems, the general rule is 3 or more authors, put the first one, and then et al. So dig and et al. 1999. Okay, so, and here we have McNamara and Kinch, 1996. That's 2 authors at the bottom of this paragraph. The references. So in social science papers, it's called references. And in humanities papers, it's often called Works Cited, sometimes bibliography. So here we have the references. Only references actually cited in the text are listed here, and all references cited in the text must be listed here in the references section. Now, the APA, it might look quite different from what you're used to. So let's see some things here. Dig and, comma, L. So every name is family name first, last name first, all the names. Dig and, L, Lefebvre, N, Bestgen, Y. And a weird thing about APA is personal names, first names are abbreviated. Gernsbacher, M.A. So it's dig and, comma, L. Gernsbacher, comma, M.A. It's kind of annoying. I don't know why the I don't know why the APA does it, but it's kind of annoying. I think 1 is to save a little bit of space, and 2, I guess it looks more gender neutral, but it's really annoying, especially with Asian names. Let's say you see Kim, H.K. That could be like dozens of H.K. Kims. There could be multiple H.K. Kims in one field of study. So it's really annoying. But it is easy to type, okay. I guess. The years, the next thing is the year. And it's highlighted by putting the year in parentheses and then a period. Why? In fields that use APA, dates are kind of important. It's kind of preferred that you use some papers within the last 5 years, and a majority of your source citations are papers or publications in the last 20 years, 10 or 20 years, and not too much beyond that unless it's like a really important paper or really famous paper that's sold. So dates are kind of important for APA because we want to know how recent is this research. How recent is it? How many of these sources are in the past 5 years? Now, if you're a college student, you don't have to worry about that rationale, but if I'm trying to publish a paper, and the editors might say, well, you need more sources that are in the past 5 years. Okay, I'll add some more. So dates are kind of important for fields that use the APA. Next, if it's a research journal article or some kind of article from a periodical, like a magazine, you've got a title. There are no quotation marks around the title, just simple. And then the name of the periodical or academic journal is next, and it's italicized. Now, if you have a volume number, the volume number, so you see document design 1, that first 1 is the volume number. So each year is 1 volume of issues of a journal or a periodical. And the next number in parentheses is the issue number. So let's say a periodical, a magazine, or an academic research journal publishes, let's say, 6 issues a year. Those 6 issues are a volume, 1 year's worth of issues, and each issue is the issue number. So this one was the first issue of the first volume. So 11, comma 39 to 51, those are the page numbers. You need page numbers. Even if you're using an online version of a journal in whatever system, you can usually just cite it as if you're using the regular journal with the page numbers. And that's fine. Next, we have a book, Gernsbacher M.A. Language comprehension. Notice, so for the name of the journal above, like document design, names of periodicals, you capitalize all the important words. So that's called title case. So case refers to uppercase or capital letters and lowercase, small letters. So title case is kind of like the system for titles. So for titles of journals and periodicals like magazines, you use title case, you capitalize all the important words, and longer words like 5 letters or more. But for books in APA, this is kind of different. You use what's called sentence case. You capitalize the first word. Language comprehension is structure building. In the older versions of APA, you would have the location of the publisher if it's a book. We've got Hillsdale, New Jersey. Now, I think in the newest version of the APA, you don't need to include the location anymore for the publisher, but you need the publisher name, Earlbaum, if it's a book. This is a book. It's a whole book. So Earlbaum is the name of the publisher. And in older APA, you would have the location, publisher, name of the publishing company. In the newer APA, I think you leave out the location. Here, going down further, Kinch, 1988, that's a book, and we have comprehension, a paradigm for cognition. So in in sentence case, punctuation, you also have capital after a colon, so comprehension, a paradigm for cognition. And you've got the location and then the publishing company, publisher, and so on for the other examples. These are mostly books or journal articles. Now, you might be using an article that's an online, not a journal article, but some online article like from a professional source, a professional journal, and you would have the URL there at the end. And you can look at my book or look online for how to do that for electronic sources. Next, we have the MLA, and it's the very opposite of the APA in many respects. The MLA is primarily used in literature research and some related humanities fields, maybe media studies and such. And this is the older MLA. Things have changed a bit, but a lot of your professors might be using older versions of the MLA. So dates are not really so important for literature people because you might be using sources that are really old, and that's totally fine and totally cool. Old stuff, yeah, okay, fine. You're not as concerned about the date. So for the in-text citations, you got the author's name, like you just got Gernsbacher. And that's it, just the author, assuming that you've only got one Gernsbacher paper here. Kinch 15. So if information comes from a particular page, you can put a page number in MLA. It's kind of optional. But if the information is from that particular page or pages, you should put the pages. Then McNamara et al. So again, you use et al. In MLA if it's more than two authors. Two authors, here we see Traxler and Gernsbacher and such. Works Cited. So it's called Works Cited. Your in references are called Works Cited in MLA, and many times in other systems in humanities. So the first name is last name first, Degan, Lisbeth. Then the other names are in normal order. Nathalie Lefebvre and Yves Beskin. The title of an article, like a journal research article or periodical article, are in quotation marks. And it uses title case. All the important words are capitalized. So that's because titles are kind of important. Then you got the name of the journal document design in italics. 1.1 in the older APA, you would just put 1.1, meaning volume 1, issue 1, 1999 in parentheses, and then the page numbers. And in the older in the older MLA, you had to specify if you're using a print version or an online version. That has changed in the newer MLA. You don't have to put that. Especially if it's a print version, you don't have to put print. Just the basic stuff. Next example, Gernsbacher, Morton Ann, language comprehension. So books are in title case, capitalizing all the important words. Routledge, 1990. That is the publisher name of the publisher and the year. And I think that year should be in parentheses. Years go at the end in MLA because years are much less important for people using MLA. And this is print because you use a print version of the book, but you don't need to put that, especially if you're using the newer MLA version. So MLA 8th edition came out a couple of years ago, and it's a little different, mainly in the volume numbers for journals. For research journals, you write out vol.1, should be dot here, a period, vol.1, number.1, abbreviations for volume and number, you write that out, and you write pp for pages. So you have to use those abbreviations for journals, things that have volumes and issue numbers. You don't have to indicate that it was a print version. Otherwise, it's pretty similar. Next, we have the Chicago Manual. This is the regular author year citation system, or the parenthetical citation system. This is the more academic version of the Chicago Manual, where in the text you have parentheses and author and year. Or you could also have author, year, comma, page number if information comes from a particular page, like in the MLA. So you have Gernsbacher 1990, so no comma after the author before the year. And that tells you this is Chicago, not APA. The in-text citations look kind of like APA, but no commas. But Gernsbacher 1990, colon, Kinch 1998, colon, McNamara et al., notice et al. Here, for Chicago Manual. The Works Cited looks somewhat like the MLA, though. The first author is last name first. The other authors are in regular order. Their names are in regular order. And of course, by the way, in all these systems in social sciences and humanities, APA, Chicago, MLA, the Works Cited or references entries are in alphabetical order according to the family name of the first author of the work. So go DeGan, Gernsbacher, Granger, Kinch, McNamara. Anyway, the first entry here, the title is in quotation marks and it's written in title case capitals. All the important words of the title capitalized. Document design 1, parenthesis 1, colon, page numbers. So notice that's a little different. Otherwise, it looks a lot like the MLA style, the Works Cited. Books are also in title case. All the keywords are capitalized. And the year, by the way, it's author year in the Chicago parenthetical style, because years are somewhat important, but less so, because these are fields where years are somewhat important, but you could be using old sources, new sources, or a mix or whatever. Books at the end, you got the name of the publisher, and that's it. So kind of like the MLA. Chicago footnote style, so there is a footnote style version of the Chicago style, which are used maybe in some published books, professional books, not quite academic books. Maybe some older academic books use the footnote style. At the bottom of the page, you either have the full information about the source, and that's in the footnote, or another version of the footnote style is to have, instead of in footnotes, you have it at the end. It's called Endnotes, at the end of the chapter, or at the end of the book, or at the end of the essay. Or you do a footnote where you just have the author last name and the year and maybe an abbreviated title. And at the end of the paper, you have a Works Cited section where you have all of this information, the full reference information for all the sources. In my class, you can actually use whatever system you like, whatever is predominantly used in the field for the paper that you're writing in my class. I don't care. In fact, I have done proofreading for professors in a lot of different fields. I am used to a lot of different citation systems. You can use any citation system you want. You can use APA, Chicago, MLA, or you can use one of the styles I'm about to look at that are used in engineering or science fields. Whatever is used in your field, I don't care. So here we have seen styles, citation and referencing styles used in humanities and social sciences. Now let's move on to science and engineering fields. They look quite different. Here we have the IEEE, which is used in engineering papers. And notice you have in the in-text citations in the paper, there's no author or year. You don't care about authors. In science and engineering, who cares? That's not really important. It's just the facts. Very objective. Like, who cares? So who did it. It's the facts that matter. And an assumption is, generally in science and engineering fields, is that almost all of the sources you cite are in the past 5 years, unless it's like some really important or famous paper that's older than that, because things change a lot in the field. And so years are really much less important. And even the authors, you don't want that getting in the way as you're reading all these facts. Science papers are written kind of in a very dense style. So the references are just these numbered references. And they could be numbered like 1, 2, 3 in the order in which you're cited they are cited in the paper. Like the first one is 1, then 2, and then 3. Or they could be in alphabetical order, in which case you're going to use some kind of referencing software to do all of this for you. It seems kind of complicated, but engineers and scientists usually use some kind of software that will automate these processes for them. So we have these sources that are cited as numbers, and in references, it's very compact because that's important for science papers, very dense. There's some differences in a lot of things are abbreviated. Books are in sentence case. Interestingly, there are quotation marks around titles of journal articles. I find that interesting. Okay. Next, we have AIP that's used in physics, and it's also very compact. This kind of numbering system for the in-text citations, kind of similar. It's designed to not get in your way, so you can focus on all the dense facts. References, a lot of abbreviations. A lot of things are abbreviated. And I think volume numbers are in boldface, and I'm not sure why that is. Next, there's ACS for chemistry. Again, very dense numerical citations. They're listed in order in which they're cited in the paper. A lot of abbreviations in the in references. Years are in boldface because they're somewhat important, but they're at the end. So you just want to know, are all of these in the past 5 years if it's a chemistry paper. My examples here are not chemistry, but linguistics. AMA for medicine. It's very similar. Numerical citations. The references look somewhat like APA or Chicago style. Blue Book style is used in law, where you have, like, again, here you have a footnoting system. Things are in footnotes, and the footnotes are for references or for adding extra information about a source. References look really interesting. The names are written out. Titles of books and periodicals and journals are in all capital letters. I find that odd. I guess that's really important. You want to draw attention to that. Years are kind of near the end, and that's kind of less important because in law you could be citing a lot of old stuff. Titles of articles are in italics. I guess that draws some attention to the titles. Very different, very interesting. Okay. It's somewhat compact, but you can easily find the titles of the articles and the titles of the publications, I guess. Books are also, I think, all titled. It's very interesting. Okay, for your papers, I don't care which style you use. Use and practice whatever you're using in your field, the field of the paper that you're writing. All right, that is it for now. Good luck on your papers, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.